want to welcome you, Ashmita, MEM alum from 2022. You'll be speaking about product management and your career, I guess, over the last 3 or 4 years. Before we get to that, I do want to remind people that we do have a Thanksgiving Day lunch scheduled in November. So November 20th at 11:30, please put that on your calendar. We're trying to celebrate I guess, the beginning of the holiday season with all of you before the weather turns too atrocious. And I think you'll find that the Thanksgiving Day lunch is a great way to get together in person, probably in the Great Room, which is right opposite the Tech Building off of Sheridan Road. So beyond that, I do have a short talk I wanted to do on common tech risks after Ashmita talks. And then if there are any questions about the final project, I have assigned to you guys a team for your final project, which will be due in week 9. So that's, I believe, 5 or 6 weeks from now. So we got plenty of time to get to that. Ashmita, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you share your screen, and we'll take it from there. So welcome, Ashmita.
Thank you so much, Professor. Hello to everybody. Hope you're having a great time. I know it's been just a month that you started this cohort, but with Diwali also being around, I think one of the most memorable time for me was hosting Diwali function where the whole cohort was invited. And till date, I feel that was the best part because I was able to interact with each and every students from my batch, and not just like Indians, everybody was invited and everybody did come. So I feel this is a great time for all of you. The October month also in Chicago is wonderful. So take your time and enjoy this, because don't want to scare you, but I know the hard work comes in the soon it starts November and December. Let me share my screen and then I'll talk through the whole presentation I have prepared for you all.
And as a courtesy to Ashmita and myself, if you guys can turn on your cameras, that way we can see your reactions and maybe gauge if you have any questions. But Ashmita, take it away.
Thank you. Okay, so a little about myself. My name is Ashmita. I have about 7 years of experience as a product manager. I was part of Northwestern MEM program. I graduated in December of 2022. I would say that was the time where a lot of layoffs were happening. A lot of internships were not being converted. So I understand that, there are a lot of frictions in the market that can make you nervous and is filled with anxiety as well. But don't worry, you will get through it. I got through it, and I am here to share my experience of things I did to be able to grab these opportunities. Today, I am a senior product manager at Intuit in Bay Area. I was a senior product manager in Dish Wireless in their fraud mitigation team. Right after the graduation is where I grabbed that position. With the whole cohort, I was able to like juggle through a lot of things that we generally do. I was doing TA work. I was managing academics as well. But with respect to the job opportunities, I didn't have a big tech company as in my profile before I joined Dish Wireless and Intuit. But this is the steps that I took throughout throughout the program to learn more and upskill my profile is where I feel it helped me grab the opportunity. I started searching for internships in the month of November itself, and because of that, I feel I was able to grab 2 great opportunities. One was in Credit Karma and one was in Amazon, but I was able to I took Credit Karma because of the offering and the profile they were providing me. So let's get started with the steps I took to go there. And I feel at this point of time, I am a lot of these in like supporting career path or steps that are taken from our seniors really help us navigate through the whole process of what needs to be done, what should be the steps to reform your resume to the job application, and then finally what needs to be done while you're interviewing for these job roles. So when it comes to getting your foot in the door with respect to job applications, don't get worried. Apply as much as you want. Apply as much as, I don't know if it makes sense, but I used to apply for 100 jobs. I know 100, can be a little shocking, but I used a lot of different tools to support me achieve those 100 jobs a day. I will talk about it for sure in the later slides. Then, of course, referrals, they do help. I would say, do be direct. A lot of times we don't have like the people who are already in the job market, they don't have a lot of time for like coffee chats, but a quick summary of what you're seeking, what exposure you have, what kind of roles you've done, with a humble request at the end of, would you be able to refer, really helps and takes you forward. The first job I got was through the volume, and the second job, which is into it, is where I got it through networking and referral programs. So I would just suggest that go network, and at the same time do keep applying to jobs that are available on LinkedIn and different various job sites. This really helps, at least have a good balance between networking and making sure that you are also cold applying to the job that are available. And then also, if you do get information, if some HR reaches out to you, do keep the collection of these IDs handy, because if for some reason you're not able to grab a job or an internship in that period of time, those HR folks will really be helpful in the future as well. So that is a great way of collecting these email IDs. With respect to resumes, I feel this is a great time to start working on your resumes. I had two resumes built down. I had to go with like various different variations until November, and eventually I finalized two resumes. One was specific to product management, which focused across like PM skills, what kind of insights and what kind of value addition I am giving through. And the other one was industry specific. I had an experience in pharma, I had experience in insurance and, different tech fields. So for that purpose, I had like a very flexible resume, which made sure that I am fit for any industry. It's not very specific to one focus. So these two resumes really help me switch between job applications. So that is something that I feel everybody should be doing when you
Ranjit
are
bhi, Soumya bhi, sabko.
creating.
Is there a question out there? Okay, probably somebody just unmuted.
No problem. So let's get started. So with respect to resumes, utilize VMock, which is also part of a lot of information is there where when it comes to like what more adjectives needs to be used, what action needs to be improved. Those really help you improve your resumes. It gives you, with respect to your job description, gives you a score, which really helps you at least assess whether your resume is in a good shape or not. And similarly, you have job scan, which also gives you more ATS tips in terms of what different resume addition you can do with respect to exact match on your job description that are there in the LinkedIn or in say Glassdoor. So this is really helpful. So start building your resume, start um, taking help from your professors. Professor Mark was really helpful as well in navigating through this. He also helped us finalize our resumes to the industry standard. So utilize those forums, utilize your professors help so that you can have your resume finalized by at least November. When it comes to volume, I would want to say that there are multiple ways that you can achieve volume, which is what I had mentioned, that if it's going to be great if you can do like 100 job a day. But it's okay to like, there will be days where you don't have time. That's completely fine, but try to have that momentum maintained. So how you can apply to various different job descriptions or job applications with respect to volume is through easy apply. That is where LinkedIn helps. You can do it during your class breaks, you can do it from your walks, and you can do it while you're commuting from one place to another. It's just couple of clicks. Then another part is automation bots, which is really great. I use Simplify and TextBlaze. What Simplify does is it grasps your resume and auto populates to the applications that you are providing or you're applying to. So within just a couple of clicks, you're able to fulfill and fill out the form in like couple of minutes itself. Similarly, I used to use TextBlaze. While you're applying, there are multiple places and fields where you have to put in your introduction, your previous background. All of that, instead of typing out or copy pasting from your notebook or your like Google Doc, you can just use TextBlaze with all the content in it and create shortcuts. What it does is, for example, in this scenario, I used to put it like, what visa am I on? Instead of typing this all, even though it's just a sentence, I used to just put \vi and the whole sentence used to populate. So using these methods in a combination can really help speed up your process. Then
Would you
when
recommend using AI tools to generate cover letters?
Sure, yeah, it would really help. And then cover letters can then, be utilized here as well. So for example, I used to like, why this company, I used to have like a, a industry wide or like a specific industry specific text that I used to put, and I just used to change few of the words in it. That's it. And I used to use it for um every job description or job application I used to do. So this really helps. You can utilize AI and these uh, tools for automating your process.
I notice you say H-1B in the future. Instead of saying in the future, how about saying in 2028 or something more specific? Because the future in some people's mind could be tomorrow. 2028 sounds like forever. It sounds like it's like never going to happen, right?
Correct.
Wouldn't it be better to be more specific?
Yeah, so a lot of the times it used to like a lot of like I used to apply with this itself, but whenever a HR call used to come up, I used to say that for the next 3 years I might not need the sponsorship, but in the next, like, at least I have visa to work for the next 3 years, but for like after that certain amount I would start needing like a work visa. That's where H1B would help. So that gives them a clarity as well to what is the specificity of what you're looking forward to. Okay. This is where ChatGPT also helped me a lot as well. I like a lot of times LinkedIn is over flooded with the um, job application that recruiters are sending. And if you feel that you've exhausted everything in LinkedIn, use this, generate a Google query which talks about your filters. Like just put it in there, what kind of filters you want, and it will generate a Google query for you. So for example, for me, I at that point of time I was interested in product manager in USA in specific, because any location was where I was flexible for. It generated couple of queries, and at this point, if you see here, I used to paste it, and there were tons of job application that would pop up. This really helped me as well because and again, Greenhouse is similar to Workday, so it really helped me with Simplify to just click on it, and just within like Simplify would just auto populate everything, and then boom, you're done with the application. So this really helped me. So I would suggest utilize this tool. You can have as many filters in it or variations if you're interested in product manager, if you're interested in data analytics, anything would work in this forum. The next strategy is what I call is follower strategy. As I mentioned before, a lot of time you might not have enough time to keep on looking for each of the posts or like each of the job application that is there on LinkedIn. What you can do is follow follow someone who's already searching for a job in, say, product management. So what I would do is I would post like a hiring product manager in LinkedIn, and people, there would be like bunch of posts that would populate within it. I would go into their comment section, see who is typing in that they are interested in this job, and I would just follow them. And in that scenario, whenever I don't have time, I would just see what the activity that they are following. This is a little mean strategy, but this helps because if you don't have time, this really helps in you just applying for it. The other aspect of I would really harp around is that whenever you're reaching out to hiring managers, right, in referral programs, I would suggest give like a snippet of how you are, um, how your skill set matches to the job description that is provided by the hiring manager. So as you can see here, I have given what kind of experience I had, and I with a quirk around it, I did mention that probably your next hire. That kind of catched a lot of folks attention. So something like this you can do because it gives a summary of what kind of value addition you bring into the table and how your profile matches to the job description. So this is the follower strategy I usually talk about as well. Then it comes when it comes to LinkedIn specifically, I would suggest train your algorithm for a couple of like days, say a month. I would suggest you to look for hiring manager post more, spend more time on those kind of posts, even if you've read the whole post, just give more time on that particular post itself. Do not spend a lot of time on like generic posts that are there being posted because it confuses the algorithm. And once you train your algorithm, whenever you come on your feed, you will see just post about hiring manager, like hiring managing managers posting about your specific role, say product manager or data analyst. Another thing I learned while I was in Dish and my team was posting for the role that was available at that time. They had closed the window within 24 hours because in the first 24 hours itself, they had like 500 applications already. Actually, not 500, but more like 200 applications. And because of that, the application window was closed. And from the 200 pool itself, we were kind of looking into and showing and filtering out most of the candidates. So I would suggest that whenever you are searching for uh, jobs, apply for the past 24-hour filter. That would really help in getting a higher chance of getting a HR call back at least. And then when it comes to when to apply for internships, I would suggest start early. Do not wait for January or Feb. If you can, and I know we've heard a lot that December is a low time where everybody goes on holiday, but there are still folks who are hiring at that peak of time. For me, for Intuit, I was hired in Jan itself. Like my start date was 6 Jan. So a lot of those roles were available in the month of November and December. So it's really good to have, it's really good to start as early as possible. And at the end, I do want to say that, whenever you are walking around or spending some time, read about the job posting in terms of the skills that are mentioned, the description that is given. if you feel that, there are things that are not matching to your skills, utilize this program in creating different projects around those skills. Take courses around those skills that will help you enhance and make your profile stronger. Because at the end, you will be able to communicate that you did projects that the team is already, or like the company is already moving forward towards. So those kind of things really help. So read those job posting before you go to bed, or at least by the end of the day, do utilize that time for it. That was all from the job application process on what needs to be done when you're applying for the job. Once you get an interview call, things that you should be doing to achieve or like prepare for these interview is utilize or have the product management core skills. For me, Professor Birju's course, PM course really helped. Newvention course with data analytics really helped me learn all these different frameworks that are available. And for PMs, they always talk about framing it from the hypothesis, why you are doing this. The question always starts from there. And then followed by like various different product life cycle, business strategy, prioritization framework, and go to market strategy. All of those things fall under a PM, and it is good to have all these information. And this does not just really help you into like help you prepare for the interview, but this till date helps me prepare these kind of product requirement doc while you're on the job, while you're creating new features for your product that you'll be working for. So this is really helpful. And if you're interested in like software world, I would suggest having data analytics and technical skills like what is API, what is data modeling, um, as your additional skills, because they really help. For me, what I have as an understanding is data analytics and product management core skills goes really hand in hand. If you do not know how to read data, you wouldn't know the reason of, or like the reason of your hypothesis, the why of you doing it. So it is great to have the skills of SQL and visualization, because you would be presenting various graphs to get alignment with your leadership or your stakeholders to why you should be building this feature. So the courses, like opt for courses which will help you build these skills in your path of your career right now in Northwestern. Um, with respect to preparing specifically for interviews, what I did was I divided multiple projects into I would say like categories. And you would have heard a lot of professors and even Professor Mark talking about that the way you should describe about your project is through a star methodology, or in fact talk about in a storyline, like imagine this was the situation, this is what the task was, and this is how I acted on it, and what was the result at the end. So this is how you should be preparing for your projects, and different, like have different projects in your bucket, so that whenever questions come up, you have some of your project to reference to and talk about it. The holy grail for behavior interview I would suggest is, um, if you've not heard about it already, Amazon leadership principle. There are 12 Amazon leadership principles which are there, and each of those principles have various different questions. Create an Excel sheet. That is what I did. I created an Excel sheet with each of the questions. I just tagged the project I would be talking about. So for example, like tell me about a time when you were wrong. I just simply wrote like, okay, the 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 project I did in Dish, or the project I did with fraud mitigation. Just that one line will help you get your memory back in terms of, okay, this is where I need to reference it. This really helps me till date whenever I'm interviewing. It's not just for like fresh graduates, it is for every milestone you are preparing for any kind of interview, because this just helps you get on your tips of what kind of projects you need to mention while you're explaining that particular question. So just try to create this Excel sheet where you have all your projects listed down against each of the questions. The other thing is when you're preparing for case studies, I would suggest that have those frameworks ready. Create a cheat sheet where you would help, or where would you know that okay, these are the steps that you need to follow while answering to those case studies. And while you're answering those case studies, try to grab broader aspect of it. Try to question the recruiter, or ask if this is if this is the correct direction they want us to head, because even the recruiters are there to help you see where you're moving forward. They are not looking for final answers, they are looking for the path that you are taking, the logic that you're putting in, or the thought process that you're putting in while you're answering those case studies. So these really help in answering those questions. I created these cheat sheets for myself while I was preparing for my interviews. And whenever a question would pop up, I would just directly like talk about PM structure, where like what is the goal, what type of company are we, all those questions, and then start framing my hypothesis, and then following by the customer base or like total addressable market, all of those things. And when it comes to like root cause analysis hypothesis, or like root cause analysis case studies, there are like certain buckets that you can list down where you're talking about, or think that will just help you think why that specific thing happened, what could have been the reason behind it. This really helps the recruiter also understand that you have the depth to understand, and you know you're inquisitive enough to search deeper and not just stay on the surface. So this really helped me create my cheat sheet and also process all the interview question. A quick snapshot of what I used to pitch during my interview. Again, this would be very different for everybody. Somebody would have a great plethora of experience before joining Northwestern. Somebody would have been directly coming out of their undergrad. It is completely okay. It is just how you want to explain things that you've done before. I started with my undergrad and things that I did, what motivated me to join this master's program, because a lot of the HR and hiring managers are interested to see why you took this master's program. And then again, you can include your past experience, or you can include the projects that you've done in undergrad and in like in master's program, which resonates well with the job description. This will give them more confidence of why you're a best fit for that role. So this is a quick snapshot of it. When it comes to big companies, as I said, I didn't have a lot of like I didn't have a big tech in my profile. What I used to do was I used to read a lot of these blogs that are there, Meta's blog, Intuit's blog. They all provide technical programs, or like I would say technical blogs that they have, and the projects that they are working on. How this helps is that in terms of where the direction of the company is. So for example, if they are leveraging, like in today's day, it's all about AI, the agentic AI canvas that every company is moving forward to. You have a great time. You still have like uh, a lot of different quarters where you will opt for various different courses. Using these blogs, you can incorporate these few topics into your project, and this will help you create, or resonate well with the company's direction. And when you're explaining these things, when you're explaining your project to the recruiter, they will understand that okay, you do have some experience in that particular field itself, or at least you have knowledge for that particular field. So this really helps while you're just studying about different industries and the direction they are going forward to.
I'll jump in and say the final project for this seminar series is indeed an applied AI project. In the past, students who've done this and have interviewed based on this have actually got job offers from almost nothing else but the project that they worked on. So I encourage you to take the project seriously, work with your team to do the best job you can, and then do something that you can share with interviewers in the future, maybe something show-worthy, right?
Exactly. Thank you, Professor. So that's what I'm saying, that this really helps in theming your projects and guiding towards that big tech role. I also, so another way of utilizing or preparing for these interview is going on YouTube, reading about what different interviews are happening. There are multiple mock interviews that are there. How I prepared for these interviews is I used to go to Exponent PM interviews, and I think Professor Mark, we have free um, subscription for Exponent, if I'm not wrong. We used to have
I
it. I
think we
don't.
still do. I believe we still do.
Yeah. So that's a very great opportunity and like a resource where you can utilize their mock interviews. What happens, or how you can prepare is play the video before even them like starting the whole interview. They will state a question. Say, imagine you are a PM for Spotify. Create a feature for age group of 18 plus. What things would you be doing? And just pause that video over there and prepare or write down whatever your thoughts are, or how would you be saying or answering to that question in that format. And then once you're done, play the video, see what kind of answers they are giving, because a lot of these Exponent PM interviews are with PMs who are in Meta, PMs who are in Google, PMs who are in Netflix. So they do come up with various different thoughts or like their way of answering it, and you can then match what are the things that you kind of missed, or you can also see what are the things that are similar or the way they are answering it. Similarly, for YouTube channel, it's free of cost. PM Diego is one of a great resource, or the channel where it helps you understand what needs to what needs to be there in the framework to answer these PM case studies. If you are a reader, do go read about the lean startup. It is similar to what would happen in new venture analytics that I took as a course. It takes you to the whole process of from scratch to the end MVP to the end product. This will really help you. And if you're already or you were a PM, then you utilize the cracking the PM career. That will help you know what needs to be focused while you're a PM. So this is what I did in nutshell, in my experience in the past 4 years here in US. Things I did to achieve a job interview. And at the end, I would just say, um, do not wait for the right time, because there will be no time where you will feel that you're 100% ready. You will get a lot of rejections or even get ghosted by the recruiters. Do not get disheartened by it, because all of these interviews will help you improve. You will understand after each of the interviews where you missed a point, or you would feel that, okay, this is the place where I need to improve. So this in total, or like the whole journey, will help you improve yourself and be a stronger person at the end. This is what I did in my in the process of learning and executing, and this is where I am here sharing my story with you all.
All right, thank you, Ashmita. Nice job. Any questions for her while we still have her?
I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi, Ashmita. So I wanted to know, like, how was your interview experience for Intuit?
It was great. So in terms of my experience with Intuit, it goes through a lot of process. They give you case study rounds, a take home case study round, And as I said before, that they will deep dive into more of your logic of what you're putting in rather than the end result or the end answer. They will see if you're thinking from both the side, from the producer and the consumer side. They will, like, it's not just into it in general. I'm saying that the number of interviews I've done, they are all focused on both, like, your thought process from both the producer and the consumer side. So whenever you're building a feature or whenever you're answering a case study round, always think about producer and consumer, and eventually take your opinion that which of the section, like producer or the consumer, weighs more or will produce more ROI to the company. So that is where, a lot of the companies usually go through or talk about, or discuss, or wants to hear such answers from you.
Okay.
And that'll distinguish you from other engineering students because frankly, MEM in particular focuses on ROI. You'll have an entire finance course that teaches you nothing but how to calculate ROI. So that mentality is not what most engineers bring to the table based on their undergrad, but this is something you would expect to have from an MEM or an MBA student, right? Any other questions for Ashmita? So Ashmita, your career took you to Mountain View, to Denver, to Charlotte. I mean, you've been all over the country. Any thoughts about your experience traveling the country?
It was wonderful, and as I said, that I was more focused on having a job than the location, which really helped me, discover these places and of course explore more. But the more you're flexible, I feel the more job opportunities you'll get.
Got it. Okay. Any other last thoughts for Ashmita? Otherwise, thank you for your time today, Ashmita. I will send you the link on YouTube for the video, so you'll be able to share that with your friends. And thank you again for your time today.
Thank you so much. It was lovely meeting all of you. Have a wonderful day.
Nice job. Thank you. All right, guys, I'm glad, what I've been trying to do with this seminar series is basically expand your horizons, link you to the previous cohorts, link you to your predecessors that have succeeded ahead of you, also link you to each other. So that's why each assignment has a different set of groupings, so you get to know each other and work with each other even before the regular classes. I know in 402 you're already in teams, but this way you'll be expanding the contact list, if you will, of the other students inside the cohort that you can get a chance to work with. I'm going to spend the next 20 minutes or so simply talking about common technology risks that I think probably permeate any course you might take. This might be a prelude to technology strategy or perhaps the project management course. And the point of this is to basically start with, failed products, right? We've all been exposed to failed products. Probably for every successful product, there's dozens of failed products in the marketplace. Upper left is the HP WebOS based product. It was one of their first touchpad type products. It failed miserably. Any idea as to why it failed? It was a wonderful piece of hardware. The software had very few glitches, very smooth software. The answer is it had no ecosystem, right? When you introduce a product like a tablet computer or a smartphone or any kind of computing device these days, the ecosystem is just as important as the product itself, right? Conversely, right next to it is an Iridium phone. Iridium was a satellite phone from the 90s. It failed not because of lack of ecosystem. In fact, we had satellites deployed in the sky. We had all the necessary infrastructure. It worked relatively well. The problem was the price. It was priced way, way beyond what people were willing to spend, right? The Newton device, which is the one right in the middle here, basically was an Apple PDA, personal digital assistant, at a time when PDAs were very nichified. Very few people had PDAs, mostly professionals. This was an expensive device. It had a touch, a pointer, which according to Steve Jobs was the kiss of death. He thought that the pointer should be your finger, right? He said, everyone has 10 pointers. Why do you need to sell them an 11th pointer, right? So he killed it the second he came back to Apple. He thought the Newton was a waste of time. In fact, it was a diminishment of the brand, right? Ironically, Apple TV was something that was going on during his reign, and Apple TV was largely a failure until what? What changed Apple TV's course in terms of from failure to success? Andrew?
Did it have something to do with launching a streaming service of
Yeah.
themselves?
It was streaming. Streaming was the difference between the old video server mentality, where all the content was located on your device, which you could only play back the stuff you've already purchased. The stuff you've already spent money on is what's sitting there. And once you've seen a movie, how many times do you want to see it, right? Now, music is different, but when it came to movies and other video, most people want to see it once and that's it. So streaming was perfectly set up for that once and done mentality. And the Apple TV goes so far back, I want to say 15 years now. It was so far pre-streaming that it failed simply because it was ahead of its time, or it just lacked the right paradigm, right? Which was a streaming paradigm instead of a video server paradigm, right? 3D TV largely failed because of a lack of ecosystem. Not enough content was compatible with 3D TV, and not enough people thought there was value in it. Similar with the Google Glass, and I guess this is the Google Assistant. They were physical assistants that Google went into business with to compete with Amazon and the Alexa and the Echo devices. Echo was so cheap and so prominent in the market that it eventually took over and made the Google Assistant obsolete. The Google Glass, even though it's been around for some 9 to 10 years, I believe is just premature. It was not ready for prime time. And I think the next generation might do the trick. It might be kind of like Apple TV, where if you wait long enough and the technology allows you to morph in a different direction, you can actually hit the sweet spot. And I think it's getting close to hitting the sweet spot. If anything obsoletes the smartphone, I think it'll be the glass. The lower right is an antiquated Macintosh precursor called Apple Lisa, right? Any idea why Apple Lisa failed? It was good execution. Product was smooth, good hardware, good software. Positioning, targeting, they targeted a business market. It was a $4,000 computer when the market could barely tolerate a $2,000 computer. They simply canceled the Lisa, repackaged it as a consumer device, squeezed it down, defeatured it, and made it the Apple Macintosh that we know today, we know and love today, which instead of $4,000 was closer to $2,000. How about Elon Musk? The man, as famous as he is, as rich as he is, arguably is a failure factory, starting with Neuralink on the upper left. Whatever happened to Neuralink? I mean, if Elon Musk doesn't use it, who would, right? He doesn't use it. I don't think he drives a Cybertruck. The people who do drive a Cybertruck are getting pointed at and laughed at because, frankly, it's a pretty disgusting, arguably ugly vehicle. This satellite link for internet access, right? How far is that going for Tesla and for Elon Musk? I know they've sold some units, but right now I think they're trying to almost give them away so that they could get the service contracts signed off and paid for, right? The Model S in the lower left, it was a beautiful machine and it launched Tesla and it got them going in the right direction. But, frankly, it hasn't changed in 12 years. So you can turn success into a failure through neglect, right? You can literally just let it be, not touch it, and then hope that people don't notice. But after 12 years, I'm sorry, people notice, right? Solar City, you're competing with the Chinese. You're competing with low-cost providers with high-quality products. Very difficult to do that. Again, it might have been a neglected segment. Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, frankly, he gutted the business at the beginning, and I'm not sure it's ever fully recovered, right? And then the Boring Company, which showed great promise at the beginning, but did not have the right business models or the right go-to-market strategy. So all of these, in my mind, from Elon Musk. Am I being fair or unfair? What do you guys think?
Yeah, Professor, I think for the Starlink, I think it's a little bit unfair to judge initially, because I think what Tesla is targeting, they are not targeting the right market, because while I was on ships, we had a lot of problem of internet on board ships. So when actually the Starlink launched, it was a great promise. And just imagine the internet became cheap, and just for 250 bucks a month, you can get settled fast internet on ship. So actually every shipping company in the world just jumped on this Starlink and they bought it for every ship. So let's see, my
Well,
company had about
he's launched hundreds of satellites. He's spent billions of dollars. The technology works. It is somewhat affordable. I agree that the ship, and actually anyone who's probably traveling over long distances, over desert terrain or mountain terrain, would find great value in it. But these are niche markets. These are very small markets, right? And to get to the mass market, he's trying to compete with cable internet, high-speed internet, fiber on the ground, which, in the absence of war, for the most part, it's pretty stable and pretty affordable, right? I think I pay about 60 a month. I don't think you can get a Starlink plan for 60 a month. Or if you can, it's just on the border, and you're also subject to atmospheric conditions. So rain or snow or wind could disrupt your signal just probably when you need it the most, and when you're least likely to want to climb on your roof to adjust your antenna. So I hear what you're saying. Yeah, the shipping market is perfect. I would think RVs, putting something on your RV if you're traveling, but otherwise this is he's trying to compete with cable. It's going to be a tough road, right? The Osborne effect, right? This is when a company announces a future product that leads to a sharp decline in the sales of its current product. And why would that happen? It happens because people want that new product and the new features, and if it's good enough, if it's far enough advanced, they will defer or hold off on buying anything until then. Now, this gets compounded with the fact that people like Elon Musk tend to exaggerate the launch date. And they say, oh, it's going to be next month or next quarter, when in fact it's years later, right? So imagine the Osborne effect combined with inflated expectations, right? And then you get this big gap of sales, right? That's a problem. So the Osborne effect is a well-known effect in the technology industry. Be careful when you announce a product. If you notice, Apple's very careful. They only announce a product when they actually have it ready for sale, sometimes even just within a week. Within a week, it'll be ready for sale. So they're not going to be sacrificing anything, because they'll have product in the pipeline, ready to go. Launch is a certainty as opposed to a possibility. Cannibalization is when you launch a product that cannibalizes your existing products, which, by the way, is very common. So don't treat this as a defect, but treat this as almost a near certainty. The Model 3 for Tesla obsoleted many of the Model S sales. The Model S never really sold in large quantities, in large part because the Model 3 was a better, cheaper version of the Model S, right? The late fee effect, this is when you become hostile to your customer. This was very clear when it came to Blockbuster Video, for example, charging people late fees for late submissions of returned items. When you start punishing your customers enough, eventually they're going to go elsewhere. Unintended consequences is a broad term, right? But there are occasions when you launch a product, and for what it either has a bigger impact on your cannibalization than you thought, or perhaps it turns against you. It could be because of branding, right? New Coke is a great example. New Coke was out there to replace old Coke, but it became such a tinderbox. I mean, people were going crazy over it. They had to cancel New Coke almost the same, within a few weeks of launching it, right? The ahead of the duck risk, meaning that you're getting too far ahead of yourself. And an example might be Toyota with hydrogen cars, right? So hydrogen has almost no infrastructure in the United States. Even California has limited infrastructure, and yet they poured tens of billions of dollars into cars like the Mirai that were focused on hydrogen fuel. The Koreans followed in similar fashion. They got too far ahead of themselves, and frankly, that whole thing kind of collapsed, right? Network effects gone wrong when a platform or product relies on user adoption for value, but premature changes or announcements that disrupt the user base, right? So if you don't feel like there's enough infrastructure there, and I think, frankly, this is the HP example where they had the WebOS, but they did not have enough apps in the WebOS ecosystem to justify the product. And people, frankly, abandoned the product very quickly. So you were relying on adoption to attract the developers, but the developers were needed to attract the adoption. So it becomes a little bit of a, I could have called this a separate item here, but chicken and egg. Has anyone heard chicken and egg, right? The same is true with EVs, right? You need electric charge, high-speed charging on the road to make people comfortable about range anxiety on an electric car. I've heard this 1,000 times, right? But if you don't have enough EVs, how can you justify the chargers? And if you don't have the chargers, how could you sell the EVs? So you get into a little bit of a catch-22, a little bit of a chicken and the egg. Tesla got around it by saying, we are going to spend billions of dollars building on a network. The hell with chicken and egg. We're going to just get ahead of it, have a network of chargers before the cars are there, right? So there's a whole lot of predatory partnerships out there. A lot of them, for example, Amazon, even Costco, they partner with suppliers to bring in specific products that they eventually convert into their own products, right? Costco has Kirkland, the Kirkland brand that's taken over a lot of products that used to be sold under a different brand, right? But Costco realized that it's the quality of the product more so than the brand that people are buying. And if they'll buy a Kirkland version that's maybe 10 or 15% cheaper and better quality, they'll do it, right? And they'll abandon the brand. Simple example, egg bites. I used to love getting egg bites. They were sold under the Starbucks brand at Costco, $12 for a box. Now you can get Kirkland brand for $10 a box. It's almost the exact same product. Who needs Starbucks brand when you can get the same product cheaper? So this is what I call partners in name only, right? Partners who intentionally provide older or obsolete products to you as under their contract, but they might even have flawed or downgraded versions that they're selling to you. So Motorola had this arrangement with Huawei, and switches coming from Huawei were version 7 that they sold to Motorola. They sold version 11 to their customers. So we were 4 versions behind, and there was nothing in our contract that required them to give us the latest, greatest stuff, right? Partners who enter the partnership only to extract knowledge, right? In essence, to get your experience transplanted into their brains, right? And then partners who intend to one day compete against you. So this is the ultimate partners in name only. A lot of acquisition risks. I don't think I'm going to have time to get into today, but let me just end with defeaturing yourself, right? So one remedy for some of this, so that you don't get too far behind, is to launch a product with fewer features than you're able to deliver. So if you've got additional features you can bring out as version 2, version 3, you can keep the market and the momentum of the market behind you, right? So that the wind is in your sail. Also, if you have a product with sufficient headroom, memory or MIPS availability, you can then have these things called Easter eggs, which are just gifts to your customers. This helps increase customer loyalty, right? Tesla did this very, very effectively. So Easter eggs, very nice tool, very nice technique to kind of keep the customers hooked on you, right? Holding certain features for future markets, and then platforms that hold certain features for their upscale offerings, such as in the case of Hyundai, Genesis. So the best features go to Genesis, and then later trickle down to Hyundai and Kia, okay? Any thoughts about the technology risks? I know I went through it very fast. I apologize. I didn't want to run out of time. I do want to mention a couple of things besides the lunch on November 20th. I think we just published the SAB reminder that we have elections going on. So I think we're going to be closing the ballot box soon. So please get those elections going. I think having an SAB is valuable to you guys, probably more so than it's valuable to us. It's more for you. And I think you'll find having a kind of a governance layer on top of the student body is a good idea. I've got some paid projects that are going to be announced pretty soon. So some students who are looking for on-campus paid opportunities. These are market research projects for new programs within IEMS. One of them is healthcare systems engineering, a master's degree there. The other one is within MEM to do an online version of MEM for probably part-time students in the region. So those are two paid positions that probably will be posted between now and it'll be finished before the end of the winter break. So it's probably a 2 or 3 month engagement, right? Other than that, there's another project one of your fellow students is working on that I'll post soon about resume automation and resume, I guess, linking to various opportunities that he's trying to use AI to automate. So one of your classmates, Matthias, is working on this. I will post that very, very soon. So questions or comments? I think I'm well within my 2:30 time limit here. I want to thank you all. I will see you next week. Start talking to your fellow students in your final project group about what you want to do and how you're going to divide up the work, because I really think, as Ashmita mentioned, these projects can really make a difference in terms of what kind of jobs you get when you graduate, or even as a job as an intern. So take care, guys. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Mark.